social equity extravaganza / forum. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot different than the weed bar show you used to. You know, you used to seeing us at the table smoking with somebody, doing an interview, talking crazy. Today, you know what I'm saying, we're giving out a whole lot of game, you know what I'm saying? So I suggest y'all just sit back, pay attention to everything you hear, because it could turn you into an entrepreneur in a couple days, not even a couple years, you know what I'm saying? If you're listening, you know what I'm saying, put it in your life the right way. So what I'm gonna do, without further ado, I'm gonna introduce all these people that we have on this panel right now. You know, these are some of the most revered, is that the word you want to say, when people are respected? See, I've been reading the word of the day, you know what I'm saying?
That's good, that's good.
I was supposed to use that 4 days ago, but I'm going to use it today.
You're good, you're good.
Some of the most revered people in our industry that's going to come forth and give us a lot of their information that, you know what I'm saying, really shouldn't even be sold. I mean, told it should be sold, but they're going to give it to us, you know what I'm saying, on the love, so we can, you know what I'm saying, everybody can learn the game and get their licenses and everything that they need, okay? So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce these people. They're gonna tell you who they are, and then we're gonna kick it over to the boss lady.
All right.
All right. Brother right here with the nice hat on, what's your name?
Demiso Davis.
Demiso Davis. Sister, with the nice outfit on. You're very nicely dressed, I wanted to let you know that. Those are some nice Fendi boots. See that on camera. What's your name? Sahir Al-Salam. Brother man right here, what's your name, sir?
Virgil Smith.
Virgil Smith. Sister, you name me, I know you is, but tell the people.
I'll tell him. I'm Chef Nikki Stewart.
Chef Nikki Stewart. And my man right here on the end, your name is?
Tucky Blunt.
Tucky Blunt. If you all these people got real big stories, man, so we're gonna kick it over to you.
It's a pleasure.
Introduce yourself to
Absolutely.
the people, please.
Great evening, everyone. Right now, I'm gonna do this now, I'm sorry. Evening. So I look forward to having a conversation. You ready to go? And I'm going to do a little bit more detail, if you all allow me to, because this illustrious panel, I want to give you a little bit more about who they are before we start speaking, all right? So, of course, Skyping in, we're going to have first Social Equity Dispensary owner of Blunts and More, Chef Nikki Stewart. She is chef, culinary artist, educator, creator of the High End Affair. We have Honorable Verser and Cannabis Advocate. And then joining us a little later will be Catherine Thomas. She's hailing all the way from Canada. She's a social equity advocate. We want to open up with a quote. Everyone is familiar with Nelson Mandela, is that correct? Nelson Mandela, we must work together to ensure the equitable distribution of wealth, opportunity, and power in our society. Do I need to give that to us again? That needs to resonate with us. Equitable distribution of wealth, opportunity, and power in our society. I think that's the priority I know from the Weed Bar, and this panel wants to give to you today, the importance of social equity as an entree into this cannabis industry. It doesn't stop just because the equity and the license opportunities are there and the legislation is there. It's a little more. And so we'll delve into that on today, the real social equity bridging the gap. I want to give a definition of what is social equity. The Social Equity Program, this is through the Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana Act. The Social Equity Program is available as a provision to promote and encourage participation in the marijuana industry by people from communities that have been disproportionately impacted by marijuana, prohibition, and enforcement, and to positively impact those communities. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Blunt. Does social equity work?
Yes. It just needs education and funding.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds that simple, but it's really that simple. You need education and funding for social equity to work. Education not in like a book sense, but education in teaching the people that's getting these licenses what the value of their license is before they go out into the world and get, gaffled up by sharks. And then funding. Social equity, to qualify, you have to be poor in Oakland. You have to be poor, live in certain areas, et cetera, et cetera. Most of those people that qualify have no business savvy at all. So you need education on how to run a business, et cetera, et cetera. So social equity can work. You just have to have the education and the funding, and then dive into each bullet point of what that education and what that funding means.
Okay, so you're talking about the business of cannabis. It's not just consumption just to roll. It is actually business operations functionality. And I want to go back in now with, and I still refer to you as Representative Virgil Smith. You were part of the legislative team for Michigan that created this legislation. Can you just speak on that?
We created the the MMFLA, the Medical Marijuana Facility Licensing Act, which was passed in 2016. Now, in 2018, we voted in Michigan, the Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana Act in 2018. That's what you just read from.
Yeah.
So
and we weren't dealing with social equity. Why?
well, it really wasn't on the forefront at that moment, especially when we were writing the legislation. So, social equity really started, the push really started in 2018 as the law, as the law in 2018, the recreational law passed. That's when we started, and that's really talking about social equity.
Okay, and that was a conversation to say, how do we get this certain group of people that are classified as disadvantaged this year, that we're looking at a $41.5 billion industry. It's forecast by 2025. So it is very lucrative, soon to be, I would say, $1 trillion industry, and the best way for us to get into that space. And on that note, before I go to the other panelists, and then when you realized in 2018 that it was important for us to look at social equity, then what were your next steps?
Well, California is the model. We all kind of look to California. So, we realized that if we're going to get African Americans in this industry, we got to incentivize it, essentially, because other individuals and other entities were gobbling up the space. So the biggest control that we have is the control of our local governments, and you read an eloquent definition. So I was always taught that government is the redistribution of wealth. So with that being said, this is a new industry. How do we control how that wealth is distributed?
So how that wealth is distributed. For the majority of us, if you're coming from a disadvantaged background, you might not even think in that way. Talk a little bit, Demiso, about what that looks like. You were coming in, so of course, as a former officer, understanding all the legalities of what this looked like, and then saying, wow, now all of a sudden we're going to make cannabis legal. What does that look like for you being a law enforcement officer at that time?
Well, at the time, just being real with you, I'm a
Yep.
former Detroit police officer and Southfield police officer. So officers have a lot of discretion. But when it came to cannabis or weed, there wasn't we didn't enforce it as a patrol officer unless they get caught riding dirty with pounds or something like that. But just a couple dime bags or something like that, 9 times out of 10 we were too busy to even enforce that. You know what I mean? So I don't know if people know that, but now with the new weed laws and it being legal now, also when I say also have a lot of discretion to be smart about it, and I'm going to tell you how to move out here on the streets. You got to treat it as if you're riding with alcohol or something like that. It's not that it's illegal, you just got to be smart. I can remember being a patrol officer, pulling up my cars filled with smoke, but the background I come from, my mother consumes it, so I never looked at it as a big crime or anything. I knew the medical benefits behind it, so I never was like, treated it like it was heroin or something like that. But I'm one officer, so you have to understand that when y'all moving out here with it, officers have discretion, and if they see fit, or if you run across the wrong officer, they can treat you accordingly. It's like riding with consuming alcohol. So that's kind of some of the things that I want to point out. So when you're moving out here, you can't say, man, well, it's legal. Yeah, it's legal, but it's the way you do it. You still got to be smart about it.
Okay, and I think that's it. Anything that we do, right? We have to be smart about it. See here, we were talking about yesterday, about if you believe that social equity really exists. As a Michigan entrepreneur and as a grower and having an event space, and just, I believe you are a strategic partner in our conversations. That's who I see you to be in our community. But I want you to speak on your truths about social equity.
Well, one, it's all about your perspective and how you look at it, right? For me, coming from being experienced since 2016 in the space, I understood the levels of what they were trying to do. But also me, who's coming from 48210, Livernois and Warren, social equity, you know, the neighborhood is really not understanding how that helps them, right? How can you build a project off of just discounts? Okay. You get what I'm saying? They're not understanding that you have to have the whole business structure behind it. Yes. You still have to have the financial structure behind it, right? They just think discounts and I'm gonna run and get a business, right? And I didn't like the misinformation that they put out. Okay. You get what I'm saying? Because it was discouraging once people figured out it wasn't that easy, okay, right? That you still needed to pay your architect. You still needed to pay your engineer. You still need to come up with the schematics. You still need the how big they should be, what your environment structure looks like, right? Because it's not going to be a successful build if we're just giving a discount on just the application.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Chef Nikki, you're coming as a creator, an innovator in the culinary space, as well as the entrepreneurial space. What is your take on social equity?
I have a couple different opinions on it, and it varies from state to state, okay, because I move around in a lot of different states in rec and medical markets. Some states it looks like modern day sharecropping. Some states it gets real hairy and weird because you have a lot of people that are not for us, you know, dictating what happens to us. Okay. And so, I look at it from a couple different ways. As an ancillary business in the cannabis space, we do a lot of consulting with smaller, new startup POC brands. And so a lot of times, you know, again, a lot of people don't realize that the structure is important. Mm-hmm. So my job as a consultant is to help you build your business model, build your pitch decks, help you with investors, connect you, yes, all of those things. And I think when we realize that we have to actually do work, and we just don't have to just go up there and put in our application and be like, all right, hope for the best. Because as soon as your application gets approved, now your other stuff comes in. Yes. Now, do you have the space? Do you have the money? Because a lot of times we lose licenses because we apply and then we didn't do the background stuff. Mm-hmm. And so you get to getting your approved, once you get approved, you oftentimes lose the space. I see a lot of people just lose because they just don't have the money. They, then that's how a lot of licenses end up for sale.
Right.
So I think it's the structure. We always talk about the structure and the network and putting those pieces together because oftentimes, like I have two young men from Omaha, Nebraska that have a great product, but they just didn't know like how to push it demographically. You know, they had just got their license. They were like, and they just hit us up, and we helped like kind of mold and shape and make their brand into something that was like, you know, a little bit larger on the demographic and more desirable. So again, they're social equity applicants, but I'll hear a lot of people with products and with licenses that are just like, I'm gonna be real with you, like it helped, but it didn't help. Okay. So it varies, like I said, okay, it varies.
And I wanna make a clear point. You all heard the word ancillary. So it's ancillary and non-ancillary. So that's plant touching and non-plant touching businesses. I'd like you to speak on that because you were on a panel a week or so ago, and you said that you wish that more people would get out of just growing and dispensaries because there is so much more opportunity in this industry. And that's where we started talking about places where you actually are touching the plant businesses, and then, like Chef Nikki said, non-plant touching. Can you speak on that?
Man, it's weird, but everybody pointing still goes back to the same thing, education and funding. You got to be educated on what other businesses there is to get into. And it's like people tend to want to grow and sell as their first things to do, but let me tell you, somebody that's been growing weed since '02 and selling it since '96. Those are two hardest things to do in the cannabis space, to grow and sell weed. Everybody can't do that. Everybody's not a salesman. Everybody don't know how to brand. Everybody's not good with customer service. It's not for everybody. But if you could think of anything on the planet that a business has, cannabis needs. So find a way to get in and do that. You do not have to grow and sell weed to be part of the cannabis space. And it's more lucrative for you if you find a business that's not plant touching. You can make way more money. But everybody think that growing and selling is the first thing to do. It's not. Like, it blows my head off that all the people, that's just the first thing they want to do. And it's like, dude, you've never sold weed before. Why would you think you'd be good at that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, no. So it's just like, you got to really have these conversations. And this is a bullet point on education. This is education. Me telling you this is education. I ain't talking about like in a book or, no, this is education. This panel, education. Those two words, education and funding, are always going to come up. Even when brother was talking about how they came with the laws in 16 and 18. The reason why a lot of the social equity programs aren't thought about is because there's nobody like me on the people that's telling them to make the laws, because we don't vote the people in office on the lower brackets. F the president. By the time it gets there, it's too late. You got to vote your local and city and get the people in office that want to deal with weed. You voting people in that don't care, you're not going to have the laws. You're not going to think about this because they never have. America was built on slavery, and lies and whatever. But that's my take on it.
That's it. I know you want to speak on it, and Shahir wants to jump on that because now we're getting into the crux of the conversation. So please.
I just have
sure.
just one example for social equity,
Okay.
right? So for our group, our build out was $6 million,
Okay.
right?
Wait. Did you all hear what she said? Their build out was $6 million.
Right.
But
so
it's 6 with an M.
yeah,
Right. Okay.
$6 million.
All right.
And social equity gave us I think a 35%
Discount?
discount.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So I just wanted to get some real.
The Michigan law that you will get a discount, and there's some technical consulting that they call it, right? But that's it. You get a discount and technical. No money, no education.
But you're supposed to have a license in $1 billion
But
industry.
right, and you're supposed to be successful. But we're going to get there.
It's
though.
a reverse
We're
war on
going to get
drugs.
there, right? Right.
I think the education component is wrong.
Okay.
I would say some of the biggest problem we have is within our own community. We have a number of older elected officials who look at marijuana as like the devil. It's the devil drug. It's the gateway drug. It leads you to crack cocaine.
Right.
In so many words.
Lies.
All lies.
And they don't approve it in either their local jurisdiction or on a state level. When we were writing the law in 2016, I can honestly admit, none of us were thinking about social equity. Mm-hmm. We were just trying to get the law passed. Mm-hmm. That was an uphill fight in itself.
Sure.
So, and then in 2018,
really getting into the real gist of this thing. You have to understand how laws work, what legislation looks like in our country. We have lobbyists. Understand that. Who has the money controls what's put on the books. And I'm not trying to be funny, and you all can speak on it. No. I'm in Baltimore having conversations. I sat with the white legislators. They could tell me everything that was happening across this country. I sat with the same black folks. They didn't know anything. That's a problem for us. Because if you don't know what we need, how then can you create legislation? So I think it speaks on what everyone's talking about. I want you here to jump on that again about how we have to engage, because it's the people's voice. Is that right?
Yes, it's important that you show up to these city-county meetings or the city council meetings, and I'm sure, he can speak on that, but, I went to Southfield's meetings for 6 months, and I repeatedly heard the elders of the community stomp on marijuana. And when they finally passed, and it almost didn't, it took years, right? It took years to pass. And as soon as it passed, they had so much negative feedback, right? But nobody's at those meetings educating them on the benefits. Nobody's telling them how it's helping our community. Nobody's showing them, how it's really pushing some of our younger generation forward financially and putting us in a position generationally. They've been affected by it differently coming from their generation. So they deserve that bridge and conversation to update them and upgrade them. But we're not taking the time to have those conversations. But they're the voice, though, at the table
Mm-hmm.
making the
That's right.
decisions, right?
That's right.
So we need to be in their ear. We need to be at the
I think just like
We were out there a couple times together, and while I don't want to say the decision makers are our elders or the older generation that came up before us have a lot of power and authority in politics, what happened was with the whole Southfield situation was while they're, down in it saying it's the scourge of the earth, all the other cultures moved in, and while Southfield politicians preach inclusivity with black folk, the other cultures moved in and set up. Now there's 2 dispensaries coming up, Telegraph and 12 Mile, people don't even know about. They just kind of slid it in, while our people, our elders, don't see the benefits or the medicinal benefits of cannabis. Other cultures see them dollar signs, and they're in position to lock us out. And so that's, with the whole equity thing, I think it's important. Not only that, not even so much that we need price reductions, like you say, if you don't have the education or the funding, we still can't even take advantage of it.
Right.
But if we stay together and we pool our resources, then we can make moves and make stuff happen, because that's how other cultures move in and take advantage. No different than in Detroit. I'm a native Detroiter. When, like, people my grandfather age, we had the gas stations.
Right.
We had all the liquor stores. But then when you send your kids off to college, they don't want to work at mom and pop shops. They want to go become professionals. We lost that. We lost that some kind of way, where other cultures, they retained it, and they passed it down to generation to generation. And I'm not knocking them. I respect their game. But we have to some way find that in us and start redeveloping that.
Sure. I got to pause this for a minute. I believe now we have the real Freeway Rick Ross Skyping in for a conversation. We see you, sir. Good evening.
Can you hear him?
Do you all have him?
Can y'all hear him? He old.
Hello, everybody. My name is Freeway Ross. Sorry I couldn't be there with you today. I went to the doctor Thursday and found out I had a blood infection. And I was really hoping I would have got out yesterday. I would have made it, even with my medical condition. Just once I make a commitment, do what I say I'm gonna do. And I really wish I was awarded a license last year here in Los Angeles. It took a lot of work, but I can tell you it was well worth it. The opportunities that it has opened for me has been, I don't know, I can't even explain it. I started working with an investment group. They had some problems here in LA. I helped them get out of that, and they wind up making me a partner on another store in San Francisco. So now I'll have 2 licenses, 2 dispensary licenses. And here in California, licenses will go anywhere from $5 million. One of the biggest indoor growers here in California, and that opened even more opportunities. So I have 2 brands out right now, LA Kingpin, as well as a brand called Freeway. I started off with very little money, but what I do is I always look for ways that I can slide through the door without necessarily having to pay what everybody else pays. We had to come together as a group. That's why I really wish I was there with you guys, because you guys coming together like this gives you a lot of power. And if you stick together, the power is only going to grow. One of the things that went wrong here in LA is that in the beginning, in charge, everybody wanted to be the man. And what happened is that we broke up. They started breaking off infractions. I broke off myself because I don't believe in fractions or trying to be the biggest one on the block. I work to be the biggest on the block. I don't just want to claim that name. And here, what happened is we started, different fractions started fighting. And what they did is they wind up letting Caribbeans come in. And out of the first 100 licenses, the Caribbeans got 75 licenses. I think we blacks got 12, maybe 13 licenses out of that. When we are the ones who started the whole movement, and we had all the power. But we separated, we started fighting with each other, and allowed other people to slide in and take power we had. And I'm hoping that that we don't allow that to happen in other cities, uh, such as you guys in Detroit. You guys are together. It's going to be so much money in this business. The money is ginormous. Here in California, they're expecting this to be a $58 billion industry. And I look at it, if I could just get a small piece of that, I could take care of my whole community. My community won't need anything. We won't have no homeless people. We won't have hungry. We'll be able to buy computers for everybody in our community. And I believe that you guys could do the same thing in Detroit, but you must stick together and not allow yourselves to be divided and the way they do it so often. There are people out here that will give you money to finance your situation. You'll never believe there's no money out there. But what they do is they try to wait and beat you down as much as they can. We call them predatory investors. And what they do is they try to come in, and because they have the money, they want to take all of the power from you. They want to take where they run your store, where they give you a check, they pick the workers. But I refuse to allow myself to fall in that trap. I wanted to be in charge enough where I could allow my people in my community to come in and get job training where we could teach them how to run a dispensary and how to do business. That's what this is really about. It's about us empowering our own community. Not necessarily for one or two people to come in and get rich. So, my message to you all today, not going to be long. I left out the hospital. I haven't been out the hospital an hour now. I want to get in the bathtub. I haven't took out. I've basically been laying in a bed for 5 days straight. My cramped, and I just want to get clean. But I did want to reach out to you all and apologize for not being there today, because I really, really wanted to be there with you all. I've been there and spoke on social equity a couple times when they first started in Detroit a couple of years ago, right before COVID hit, and I was hoping to see this process through. But not being able to get there today, I wanted to send you all my apology, and especially to the people who put the event together, because I know they paid for plane tickets and hotel fee and other things to accommodate me of being there. But Saturday, I begged my doctors to allow me to be out Sunday so that I could have made that flight, so that I could have been there with you all today. I really wanted to be there, but I hope that you don't as not wanting to see you all win, because I really want to see my people win. I think this is a great opportunity for us, and all of you all who took the time out of your day today to show up should be commended, because you could have been anywhere else. But believe me, you're in the right industry. Just don't stop. Don't let nobody discourage you. Don't let nobody tell you that it won't work. My number didn't get called out of the 100 until I think I came in 98 out of 100. So at one time it looked like that I may not get called, but eventually it came up. And if you stay down and you continuously work hard, your number will come up. So my recommendation to you is to stay down. If you guys want to ask me a few questions, I'm open for a few questions. But like I said, I really want to get cleaned up, and I got to go to the pharmacy and get my medicine. So if you want to ask me a few questions, I'm open. I couldn't hear. All right, thank you. And I promise you, the next time you guys have something, I'll be there to show my support and get your license. Get your license. Win. Thank you all.
Documentation that they have A, lived in Detroit for 15 of the last 30 years, or lived in Detroit for 13 of the last 30 years and are low income, or lived in Detroit for 10 of the last 30 years and have a marijuana conviction, or have a parent with a marijuana conviction. And you can go as low as a 1% fee. So that's a 99% discount on your fees. Did you all get that? 1% is what you pay if you can prove, and the burden of proof is on you, that you are a legacy Detroiter. So I think that's a great opportunity, because we always talk about money. Tucky just said it's about money and education. So can we talk about when that's an issue for us, then where do we go? What does that look like? Or you want to talk? Yes.
We gotta get together. It's just period. She know millionaires, I know millionaires. We gotta just put our money together. It's not even nothing that even needs to be like take forever. We have to quit looking at each other as enemies. Okay. We have been programmed to think none of us can get our money together. We have to deprogram that. Yeah. Period. Like, period, cut dry. Like, you are not my enemy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can get bread together. You know what I mean? Like, the way that we all can eat in this space is if we all pool our money together. Like, I want Blunts and More the franchise, but do I want to own all the franchises? F no. I want another ex-felon to own a dispensary, and that be their dispensary just under my brand. Like, why can't we all put our money in and do that? Like, it's just, if we can get together, we can eliminate the whole funding issue with the equity program amongst us, amongst black people. This ain't gonna do with any other race, but I'm a black person. Yes. So for me, it means something to black people. Yes. For us to be able to have generational wealth for our kids, I have 5 kids, so I need their kids and their kids and their kids and their kids to have money from this space that they watch me raise them off selling weed on. Yes. Like, for us to be stupid enough, so stupid to not just want to work with each other, and we lost that. I don't know what I do know when it happened. Like I said, we've been programmed. We started slavery, house nigga, field nigga. Let's just keep it funky. If we can get past that, then we can all eat. Easily. Sorry, it just frustrates me that we don't get together.
We don't get that.
It is now.
I would also say that, like, oftentimes culturally we're afraid to ask for money because of rejection, and especially when you're asking for millions. You know what I mean? And I think that, when Rick was talking about predatory investors, yes, and when he was talking about, like the structure, a lot of times because we don't have education, then when we go to ask for money, we're like, oh, bet. Shit, they said they was gonna give us like $2 million. You're like, okay, but not realizing that paperwork, if you don't have the right type of attorneys and business advisors, yes, you really could be signing your life away. Yes. Honestly, like, nobody wants to have to not choose their employees. Yes. Nobody wants to not have to be able to, like, dictate what their business is. And yes, it's a difference between selling, like, getting money for your IP versus getting money for your business. Yes. Like, 2 different things. Yes. Because they will give you money for your IP. Yes. and it'd be that, but you
Yes.
don't own your business.
Yes.
So that's the other.
Intellectual.
IP stands for intellectual property. My bad. IP standing for intellectual property, meaning that we all have great ideas and we all have dope ideas. But the moment you tell somebody your idea without having them sign a non-disclosure agreement, which is an NDA, your idea is fair game. So a lot of times you could be a grower, you could be an edible, a confectioner, you could be any type of product. But when you go into getting money, your IP is up for grabs. And I see us getting our IP stolen left and right. Like our whole life, our IP has been stolen. like that. It is. I mean, it really has. And when you think about, like, you holding on to your stuff and you're going to take your shit back. It's two things, you know? So I think that the money thing is so important and you can't be afraid. But again, like Tucky said, we both know millionaires. I work for a lot of millionaires. Yeah, we all know millionaires. And so, but I can't just be like, because I work for Dave Chappelle, I can't be like, oh, I got this great idea, I need some money. I mean, in general, he fucks with me, but he'll be like, so, you know what I'm saying? Like, give me some better ideas. But I think that structure of your business models and business plans and things like that, and going in your networks first and finding investors, and then networking to get that money. Because people don't realize you got to get out there. You got to get in the streets. And you can't take all the money you were selling drugs with and put it back in the business. You can take it all, but it ain't going to be enough. I'm just being real with you.
You know, just say that again, sir.
It's just not going to be enough. And then you got to have other things to worry about. Because trust me, they're watching your money. If you never felt like people were watching you before, get your license. And watch how they start tracking your money and your sales. So you got to make sure all your shit is clean and transparent. So that's all I got to say about the money part.
No, that was really good. I need us to understand cooperative economics. Y'all remember that? You remember in history when they taught you about Fannie Lou Hamer and what we did back in the day and how we couldn't get money from banks and we had to bring our monies on our own and get it together? And if they didn't, then we need to bring that back.
They don't teach it in school. I don't know if
They don't teach it anymore, but we don't teach it culturally.
Say that. Culturally, then we don't teach it.
I'm going to tell you one of the best.
Please.
Asians, when I tell you Asian families,
Yes.
they do what's called, I think it's called a susu.
And they do a ghee. And it's a ghee, too, as well. Yes, they do.
Well,
Yes.
but all of us put our money in, and as soon as somebody's ready to open a business, they get the pot.
That's right.
Put it back in.
That's right.
Next person, they get the pot. That's how they have so many hair stores. That's how they have so many corner stores, because they just keep circulating the money.
Yes.
And, you know, we'd be like, I'm not about to let y'all get none of my money.
Right.
Like, I don't work too hard for this.
Right.
I think we need to be more real. I think we need to be more realistic.
We do need to be more realistic.
Nice.
And transparent. Why don't we are transparent?
Right.
People don't want to be transparent about crap.
We're so caught up in either who has the title, what is it going to look like, we don't get this together now. Let me give you a little information, specifically as it pertains to Michigan. Michigan is an opt-in state. Did you all know that? So there are 1,764 communities in Michigan. To date, 84 permit recreational marijuana sales. Did you all get that? 84 out of the 1,764 communities.
How many of them are African American drug?
I'd venture to say 0.
No, Inkster.
Well, as Inkster finished, Detroit's coming in.
Flint.
So 2. Highland Park doesn't have theirs on the books yet. Highland Park, I need you all to work on that. What does that look like for us? Even if you look at speak on that real quick about the 19 communities that were taken over with emergency management. Those are poor and disproportionate communities in Michigan that are black and brown people that live in. Hello? What does it start there? What's the matter? Virgil?
Who's right? Who comes
Can
out
you
who's writing? So one part that you miss in the Legacy Detroiter ordinance is that, you know, we have 75 storefronts or provisioning centers that they're allowing. half of that has to go to legacy Detroiters. So other communities are all up in arms over that. And we built this, and you probably know more familiar with this, the Oakland, California Equity Permitting Process or Program. So we built our legacy Detroiter ordinance based off, because in the lawmaking process, we don't really write new laws. We just take what's out there from somebody else's law and then put it in ours.
Sure.
And that's all we did, because Oakland or California is the premier, is our example. So, but we took it further than that, and we carved out actual licenses for people to actually have within the ordinance.
Sure.
So half of those 75, we have what are called micro marijuana storefronts, where you could grow up 150 plants. They're like a micro brewery. 35 of those in the city of Detroit. Half have to go to legacy Detroiters.
Yes.
So you carve it out in how you write these laws.
Absolutely.
Because I hate to say it, I mean, I've been black all my life, just like everybody else up here. I don't know if anybody's read the Willie Lynch speech,
Yes.
but we got real problems,
Yeah.
and we ain't gonna solve them here. But for those that are serious, because this is the industry for those that are serious. We want to get in. For those that are serious, and you have the time, you want to make the investment, and you have the wherewithal and the sacrifice. Now is the time to get in.
Yes.
And those are the ones we need to go after.
Yes. And realize also under the legacy Detroiter opportunity that you have to show agreements and partnerships. So it's not like if you do, and Sherry, I want you to talk about that, because you gave an example of you had folks that were waiting. Speak on that real quick before we talk about what the legacy piece
Well, I'm going to just shed some light on just the predatory investment. I'm going to start there.
Okay.
Because it becomes to be a setup, right? Because I have a line of people at my consultant door who are legacy Detroiters, right? Some of them have buildings, most of them don't, right?
Right.
But then I also have a line of Chaldeans at the same door waiting for these legacy Detroiters to be at their mercy of finances, right? So as a community, and I'm also, what saved me and my group is that we actually had a lawyer in our group. A lawyer is one of our partners. You get what I'm saying? So she was able to keep us out of all of those predatory investments, and we were actually at the table with two big companies, one of the biggest companies in Canada and one of the biggest beer companies that got a spin-off marijuana companies. We were at the table, and we were at those deals of they wanted to, it's called controlling interest. That's how they take your company.
Nice.
So they wanted to underwrite a company. Now, we already have our company on paper, right? With the license attached to it, right? So for them to become a partner and give us the $3 million, right? Not even the whole $6 million, just say 2.5, right? They're going to create another company up under ours to create the partnership agreement, and that's where they take the 70% controlling interest. And that's where they do all the hiring of their own employees, and the Tory mindset that the investments that we, yeah. Hold on, wait. And we already had a board of directors. They wanted to eliminate our board of directors and put theirs in place, right? So that means the company is no longer yours, and you actually now work for your company. You get what I'm saying? And I'm sure that's nobody's idea of what we're trying to build, right? So be careful, legacy Detroiters. Understand the business and how this works, but understand that go to your community first before you get to signing the paperwork with these Chaldeans, because if somebody is familiar with the millionaires that were my people and not going and taking the money of somebody else and I was going to get played. And, that was the value of it. But I'm seeing it every day, and I just want to shed some light on just be cautious. Be cautious of the paperwork. Have your lawyer available and ready to read everything and know that they're there waiting for you. You get what I'm saying? It's a setup.
Right.
It ain't I don't care how nice they sound, how nice they make it look, it's a setup. And they want to write you out of that legacy Detroiter program in 5 years. They just want to pay you a couple million, if that, right? And then they go take over the whole business. So it's no longer legacy for us. Right. So we're still, when you go sign that paperwork with them Chaldeans and other people, you're still creating their legacy. You're not keeping ours true. And we need to keep ours true and real in our neighborhoods, in our community, because I'm a grower. I've been growing 9 years, right? And that's how we got at the table, because we were with a Chaldean group and they needed the growers. You get what I'm saying? And then the city showed us some love. As the minorities, like if y'all want to get a license, go ahead if y'all can come up with the finances. Our first $100,000 came from people giving us $10,000 from our people. You get what I'm hitting on my people. Hey, $10,000 investment, $10,000 investment, $10,000 investment. Just give us 10, and that's how we got through our licensing process. You get what I'm saying? Through our people. So I'm telling you, be careful and be cautious, and know that you can get the money from your people. You might have to wait it out. You know what I'm saying? But it gives you time to work on your business structure, which it gave us time to get our business structure tight. Even though we had a lawyer, we still had to go hire some other consultants to get our structure together. We had to travel to other growth facilities to make sure that we were going to be successful, so we wouldn't waste the investment dollars. So do your homework, and it's a time investment on yourself. So don't give up on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Stay very positive. It's not an easy industry, but it's an industry that's worth it. And it's gonna drain you some days, but don't let that discourage. But you're doing it for 5 generations after you. So have that energy. You get what I'm saying? Stay motivated with that.
Talk about, and each one of you, from the time you were blessed with the idea and the belief that you could actually be successful in this industry, till the time it became a functional space. So it took you for you when you were able to say, okay, this is what I'm doing and my door is about to open. What does that look like? Like realistically, like honestly.
For me?
Yes.
I was at 16. Like, I knew that wherever I worked, I could make more money selling to my co-workers than I made at work. So this is just me. I'm just keeping the band. Like, I've always approached it as a business. I've never looked at selling weed as just selling weed. When my daddy sold his weed, he was never on a corner. He didn't teach me how to sell weed. He taught me how to detail cars and clean houses and paint houses. But I still watched how he moved around in the game. And I'm like, all right, if I don't want to go to jail, I'm just going to make it like a business. You know, pull up to your house, talk to you, smoke some of your weed, and then I'm going about my business. And that's just how I approach it. Everywhere I worked for Alameda County 13 years, all over California, different counties. Where I worked, I made more money at work than at work, every time. And I just felt like me getting my store was just me just continuing that path I was already on. I was already a store. I've been selling weed pastries since 2002. I mean, you can come get just about anything from me, from Molly on down, you can come get it from me. You know what I'm saying? So I've been a store. So to actually have a store in the same zip code I call my felony case in, come on, man.
Right.
Come on, man. Like this, you know, this is me, and it needs to be more. I know it's more of me out there. So it has, you know what I'm saying? So it just means something for me to be able to tell other people that look like me that y'all can do this. Like, I had dreads, gold teeth, big rims, all the shit. Like, I'm not no random dude. So to be able to share that and show that other people can do this and still have a business. I type 90 words a minute. I was a 4.0 student in school. I'm a street smart nerd. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not, I don't like penis. So there's no need for me to do nothing that's gonna put me in jail. Right. So I always approach how I move based on not going to jail. Yeah. So if I can get this message to other people and they can really hear people that talk like them, like, I can put on a suit and tie and go do all that, but I can come holler at you in some sweatpants too. Right. And that's just what it is. And that's what I'm on. So I learned early, and I'm 41, so.
All right. Chef?
Okay, bro, I don't know why I gotta follow that one.
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna be real. I don't know no other way to be.
No, I feel it.
We appreciate
it.
Yeah,
yes.
we appreciate that.
Greatly. I think for me, I've had several careers, like probably a lot of people up here. My father and my family owns one of the oldest black construction companies in Central Ohio. And so I remember the moment my dad said to me, you are either an employer or an employee. And he said, we have employee mindset genetically. And I mean employer mindset genetically. So I was like, that's different. He's like, but sometimes you gotta go work to get your footing and understand. So that always kind of stuck with me. My first career was in pharmacy. I was a pharmacist. That's what I graduated from The Ohio State University. Don't nobody.
The Ohio State. Really? She's family now. Be nice. Be nice.
I just thought I'd let y'all know that.
Right.
I just thought I'd let y'all know that.
Right.
With the V? Okay.
But anyway, we're friends now. You know, we went to the national championship, no shade.
We're afraid.
But we did take an L. So, but working in pharmaceutical sciences, working for CVS. Like literally I was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, have a nice day. That was my job. And then I switched to compounding pharmacy. So part of my bringing culinary and pharmacy together was me saying, let me figure out how I can kind of tweak this where I'm more of like in a creative space. I always wanted to be happy at my job. And at the moment, I wasn't happy. And I also wanted to be able to take off work whenever I wanted to take off work.
Yes.
Like I had all these things. I have children, so that also was a factor in my flexibility. And so I started to think about what would allow me freedom. So I switched to culinary. And then at one point, I started to merge the two. And merging the two created a new business thing for me. Yeah. I wasn't even initially thinking I was going to get into it this way. Okay. I mean, literally Snoop Dogg was like, do my party. And I was like, what? Okay. Weed, everything? Okay. Let's figure this out. And I had to get back into my pharmaceutical bag because that's compounding, that's alchemy, that's like a different level of like food science. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to now, clearly I'm an employer.
Good.
And my dad periodically calls me and tells me he appreciates me holding on to the legacy because my younger brother is an employee. And he's like, I didn't think it was going to be my daughter that would take this and hold on to legacy and make sure, you know, like we're holding on to our money. So that's kind of my journey.
No, that's good. Virgil, your journey you have a very unique journey. Can you share that?
So I come from a entrepreneurial family. My grandfather owned numerous business here in Detroit. We come out of the gas station petroleum business, also hardware stores. My father was the trailblazer, was the first black elected official off the Northeast side, yes. Or the state representative. So he was the one that broke, the barriers, so to speak. So I come from a political entrepreneurial background. I got elected to the State House of Representatives here in the state of Michigan in 2002, fresh out of Michigan State University. So, yeah, well,
Oh.
Spartan's will. Spartan's where I come from. So, politics, never really understanding or really thinking that marijuana would become legal. In 2008, the Michigan medical marijuana law passed, and we all voted for it. And it kind of started a wild, wild west type of industry here in Michigan. And talks and discussions were moving forward on how do we professionalize the industry. Me personally, we have term limits here in the state of Michigan, so I'm termed out of the Michigan House and the Michigan Senate, but unfortunately I had to resign for an unfortunate reason. And marijuana in 2017 and 2018 all of a sudden was open for business. I got 2 degrees in government. So I can manipulate government. I don't care what government you send me to. I can try to figure out a way to get the desired outcome for whoever hires me, whether it's the people or an entity, because that's what lobbyists do, and that's what I am today. So it created an avenue for lobbying in the marijuana industry, and people pay for that, and they pay in large sums. So it created a very lucrative avenue for me. So I stepped into that avenue because I love marijuana. I learned how to grow at Michigan State because we're an agricultural university. So, now that it's legal, it created an avenue, and that's why I'm so focused on educating our people on how this industry, I call it an economic engine, you know, we have a chance to harness this and not be the employees, you know, and actually gain ownership and be the employers in this industry. And I am going to do everything I can to see that to the fruition for my folks.
I know. I just want to commend y'all on y'all journeys.
Yes, absolutely.
It's been so cool to sit here and, like, you know what I'm saying, just enjoy the
in.
conversation and taking it all in. For me, I come from somewhat of an entrepreneurial background too. My daddy was the man.
Nice.
No, but seriously though.
Oh, that is important, right?
And you know what? He wasn't even in the home. His family.
They were around.
They were around. He was around.
He was around.
No,
that's good. We need
but
that.
no, he was around. My parents had me at 13 and 14, so I grew up in Southwest Detroit. Yeah, so I just grew up watching the hustle, right?
Right.
But I grew up really smart because, you know, my family had me really involved in school and sports. I played basketball all my life, so I grew up just knowing I wanted to be like an entrepreneur and like have that income and vision myself. Went to college, didn't go work out so good. Went to the military, didn't work out so good. Went to the medical field, didn't work out so good, right? So then I became a grower, and it was just like I stepped into heaven, right? I remember the first grow room I walked in, I was taught by a Cali grower. I was getting weed from him, the real Larry Kush, right? Okay. And I'm like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got the only weed like this, man. And he was just like, yeah, you know, Cali, blah, blah, blah. You know how Cali guys talk. So he said, I'm going to take you and I'm going to show you something next week. And he showed me his grow room, and it was like a 4-duplex house, right? And I was amazed. And he was like, build you a grow room. I'll show you how to grow. Had a grow room built that next week by my father, 10 by 10 room. And I've been a grower ever since. Eventually, spending that time in the grow room, I was working a job too, and I started to calculate my time value of what I was pulling out the grow room versus what I was putting into at work, you know. And I had worked a dialysis job for 8 years. I really loved the medical field. I loved my patients, but I was starting to see that I was putting more time into work, but I was pulling the money out of here. Right. So I put that to the side in 2017 and decided to indulge like fully into the legal market. We were already at the table with a group, like I said, who were going to get licenses, so they just gave us a chance. We created the finances, we went hard, and we just been going hard ever since. Since then, I've created a community space, Detroit Life Lounge, and that's just for me to bring all my marijuana valuable resources together to give it to the community, to get them in position so we can have more licensed individuals like myself. I don't want to be the only licensed individual in my hood, in my circle, in my nothing. I want to show everybody how. Give you my lawyer's number, give you my consultant's number, give you my architect number, give you this guy who might give you your first $100,000 and get your licenses straight, right? I want to share all those resources. So I created a space where I could just share it in a major way, and we're also an event space. So, you know, if you want to come in there and smoke your weed, you know what I'm saying, talk some stuff, you know, we available for that too. But I just wanted a space where we can all come together and just be resourceful and share our resources. I don't want to also be the only one sharing my resources in the space, right? I want Chef to come in there and drop some of her resources in business. And Demiso, he's head of our security team. So he takes care of everything. He vets everybody. He brings everybody in. So I'm community based. I'm all about building what we can in the community and sharing our resources before we go running off somewhere else.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. Now, Demiso.
Yes.
Yes. Right.
Okay. Man, 17-year law enforcement vet, serial entrepreneur. Even when I was a police officer, I had several businesses. Just always knew I wanted something more out of life. Vending machines, barber school, you know, you don't really make too much on the police salary. So I always had that hustle, that entrepreneurial spirit. After 17 years in law enforcement, tragedy again, tragic. I left the police department, like, man, I'm ready to do something and jump off into a different career. Started a transportation business, non-emergency medical transportation business. Always, and this is about the time when we was 2008, when the medical marijuana was passed. And like I said, my mother, I think she was smoking before I got here. So it was always around me, somewhere around me, smelt it, knew it. She tried to hide it from me. I was like, Mom, come on, man, I know what it is. Look, but I had respect for it, because never been sick a day in her life. My mother's 72. And out of watching her and deal with it, I was like, man, there's something valuable to this. And I'm a big history buff. So once I studied, what do we say, the madness, reefer madness.
Yes.
And I saw the history again of how they played our culture with the jazz musicians and everybody. I'm like, man, it's terrible. And so after I left the medical transportation, we did pretty well. My friend was in California, so you got to go to the Godfather over there, or you got to go to Cali.
Yeah.
To me, in my own personal opinion, if you really want to get down and learn the game. So I went from law enforcement to outlaw.
That's all right. That's all right.
I'm not going to go into any detail, but I spent the last 7 years learning the game from the bottom up. And when I say from the bottom up, I mean from staying at SFO, San Francisco Airport, literally sleeping in there, trying to learn this game. So I done took it from the Bay all the way up to Oregon. I got a lot of relationships, and it's all building your network.
Yep.
And when I was going up and down the mountains, and I mean meeting I call them mountain men, from the white beards hanging down here, thinking like, man, I'm the only black thing up here. I know I ain't gonna make it out of here alive. I know I ain't gonna make it out of here alive. But they took me in because one thing we haven't touched on, but in this business, I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, purple, that money green.
Yeah.
You understand? That money green. And so went from that to and a lot of friends would approach why don't you just get a license? Why don't you get a license? Because I never want to be anchored. Like I'm kind of like a free spirit. So I never wanted to feel anchored to a brick and mortar. But then the help us here, she bought me. She's like, man, you missing out. You better do this. You too smart. You need to be out here doing. And so she had a big influence.
Relationships, and that works. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Miso has the most business relationships. Like he the one who put me on with the Nicaragua folks. You know, we getting ready to bring leaves over here and brand our own leaves. Me and Miso. You get what I'm saying? Like he know everybody, so I'm on him like Miso.
Yes, you should. Wait, did you hear what he just said? Say that again.
So young sister, she talked about ancillary products.
Yes.
So we want to give back with a run for their money. So I have partnerships in Nicaragua. They're traditionally a cigar manufacturing family, third largest in the country for good cigars. And so my partner from Oakland, he approached his uncle about taking a portion of the manufacturing plant and designating that to do pre-cut leaves, tobacco leaves, to give backwood a run for their money. So that's like she spoke on earlier, or his brother spoke on earlier, ancillary product, not touching the plant, and being legal. And if I might say, ours is better than theirs.
That's
anyway,
right. Say
so
that.
holler at me, 420 Rolling Company.
Right.
So that brings me to here, being part of the lounge, Detroit Life Lounge was here. She was welcoming me into that. Man, like I said, I love history. I love my people, father to husband. And if I could leave a legacy and generational wealth, that's what I'm here for. I finally feel like I got a purpose. Yeah. Law enforcement was cool, but I hated to see my people done the way it was done and still being done. So it was always this type internal conflict with me. And so now I had the opportunity with the weed game to completely become a multimillionaire and not only give back, but bring the people up who had skills like, brother, I know a lot of fellas in my family, kinfolk, that don't even know about the opportunities because they was done so dirty, got so many years, and they scared of it. To be quite frank, you're scared of what you don't understand. And so what I would like to do with my partnerships and network is bring those people who don't know into the game, or they think they know. They might have the street side and the salesmanship. We the best salesmen in the world.
Right.
But you don't have that business acumen. And without that business acumen, you go stay stuck right there.
Right.
You ain't gonna be able to keep going up the ladder.
That's right. That's right.
So
And I want, sure.
I forgot to make this point. There's a moment that you will have in your life where you're thinking about what are they gonna say about you when you die. We all might have this moment. I had this moment in my early 30s, and I remember looking at my daughters and saying, Y'all not gonna be able to tell my grandchildren I was just a drug dealer.
Nice.
That's number one. And so I thought about the narrative. What is the narrative? So I always encourage people to write their narrative now and understand their either break what's already fucked up or you build something new. And so that was a moment where I looked at my children and I was like, okay. And I remember my daughter was just like, oh, you trying to be on your Madam C.J. Walker, we see you. I was like, I mean, yes, why not? But in the sense of like the ancillary product, like Tucky said, and like you were saying, sometimes, a lot of times, it's more profitable. Because for example, yes, I am a business. Like Chef Nikki Brands is a business. So I have a publicist, I have a manager, like I have a team, right? For me as myself, and I didn't even think that myself was a brand. And then I also have products that will be, like I'm white labeling products in 3 states right now. And so that is also, ancillary. I didn't imagine that I was gonna get asked as a brand, as a chef, to go to Malta, to go to Mexico, to go to all these countries and cook cannabis dinners. And I'm like, y'all are really flying me out to these places because now I am a brand. And I'm an ancillary business of the cannabis industry. So I think if we kind of consider outside of the box too, still get your license if that's where your heart is. But at the same time, start developing product. Consumer packaged goods is a real thing, and there's some shitty products out there with terrible branding and terrible marketing. You can have a product faster than you can have a license. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Right, that's a good point. And stay there too. Investing with stocks. Well, that too. Investing with stocks. What did he just say? You talk about backward. You all know that's publicly traded. You all know the company Imperial is the parent company that's publicly traded in the New York Stock Exchange that owns backward. So that's a business. That's an ancillary business, right? You're not touching that money. And think about, from an investment standpoint, what makes, everyone talks about Tilray. You gotta get into all these other acreage. No, you don't. Think about how we grow. Miracle Grow, lighting, those type
Scotts
of things.
makes the most
Scotts,
money out of
come on.
anybody
And
in this fucking world right now.
We run things. So how important it is that you're supposed to know what you know when you go into a room. At least what you know. What I'm supposed to be an expert in. When I walk into a room, I'm supposed to know that. The people sitting there shouldn't know more about what you say you want to get into than what you know. Talk about that.
For me, I say it all the time. People hit me up. Oh, can you help me get into space? No, I can't. You need to know what you want to do to get in. Back to education. I mean, it's just
Everything,
you
right?
gotta educate yourself. Real quick, to touch on,
Please.
former officer talked about, and I love saying that because I was arrested by 2 cops. Both of those cops are now in the cannabis space in Oakland. One does security, and one just kind of like helps us out whenever we need stuff. He's the captain. My arresting officer in 04 is the captain of OPD right now. He actually helped me get all my charges off my record recently. The same cop who arrested me. So to have across, yeah. So it's like, to be able to have them connections in the community and people to see that cops aren't all bad and they all can link and do stuff, like that's so dope to hear from a whole nother city, whole nother state, that type of connection. So I love to hear that, you know what I'm saying? So that was just dope. But yeah, just overall, it really just goes back to education. You got to really know, everybody want to get in this space. It's an angle for everybody. I'm gonna give y'all a gem right now. I want to be, or one of us could do it in this room, I don't care, but the grow cubes, the Rockwood cubes that everybody uses to grow weed in.
Yes.
Do you know a black company that makes those? Come on, man, that's an ancillary thing that we all can get rich off of. I mean, I don't it's just that simple. You got, like, if you go in the grow room and just look at what's in the grow room, you're gonna see those. Nobody I know black makes those. Why not? You know what I mean? That's just like, it's just that simple. I don't care about giving it away, but you know what I mean? Come on now. And Groden is making a whole lot of money, but Groden ain't black, so go ahead, sis.
Right.
She gets to this a lot. She was at my house a couple weeks ago, so
Okay,
she knows.
so good.
Yeah, she knows. She knows.
I heard you 2 weeks, remember on your plane. I heard that too. I was like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I made
Dinner.
Don't. I made tacos though, didn't I?
A lot of people are scared to cook for me. I'm like, right, I'm from the hood. I eat whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like one of those people. So, developing your ethos, like developing your why, to piggyback off of what Tucky said. There is a why. Why are you here? Why are you interested? Everyone has a story, whether it's your grandmother, whether there was something that made you think, oh, I could be good at this. And so that why helps your business succeed, because you have to go back to that why often. And that why also helps create positive energy and output into your brand or your product or your business.
Right. The why cannot just be because you've seen somebody in the club.
Oh, no, it can't be that.
And now you want to learn about weed. Like, you got to be real particular about when you say that the why, like, because a lot of people think,
Yeah.
I just want to get in just because. No,
Yeah.
there's a disservice to all of us that's on this panel right now if we just let everybody in the space.
It's not. You got to have the education. So sorry. Go
And no,
ahead.
you're
No,
good,
that's
but
good.
each one
That's
of us we all have stories.
Yeah.
And I think the story is important to your business thriving.
Period.
And then I'm going to change the term from business to company, because I was talking to a friend of mine. She's like, would you rather have a business or a company? Because there's 2 words to company, 2 definitions, right?
Yeah.
And part of that is like, we're all in good company, you know, and that also, the other part of it is, you know, it's a viable business or whatever. But that employer versus employee mindset will kind of, like, you'll start to like breathe life into the people that work for you, breathe life into your product or your business. So the other thing is, I was gonna say was, damn, I kind of got a little high, a little bit, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Took a couple edibles before I got up here. So what I'm gonna leave you with.
Yeah.
Okay. So that part. So leaving you with the understanding that we are all here because oh, that's different. I got scared. I feel like I got a doppelganger. I'm away because okay, cool.
Okay.
All right. So we're all here to help. And we are all here because we believe that, no, we know that we should succeed. Understanding the root, understanding what cannabis is. Cannabis is an entheogen. I talk to people about these things all the time. Entheogen means of God, okay? Let's understand the purpose. That was our shit to begin with. Before the white man took our stuff and rebranded it and then tried to resell it back to us, that's what we use for healing. That's what we use to push through for medicine and all that stuff. So understanding that cannabis is the root and it is of God because you have God-like experience on it. Can I get an amen? Understanding that, because there are all times where we get to a place where we're like, bet, that's what God feels like. Yep. I always drop that little Kendrick lyric because that's how sometimes it inspires me in understanding my calling and my purpose as a medicine woman, as somebody that uses alchemy to produce products and experiences. I just want y'all to keep that in mind. It's our shit anyway.
We the face.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Just take take your shit right back,
Yeah.
like they took it from you. That's it.
Absolutely. And before we get there, Virgil, I have to ask you and talk about, because some people have said to me, well, it just seems like it's just going to stop. Like if we don't get in and because we don't have our stuff together right now, it's going to stop. Well, now they have CBD. So now they have CBG.
You have hemp. There's so
So
much.
things
like-
are consistently, new dynamics of this plant are consistently being introduced, right? So that means that there's going to be new product attached to each one of those. So just like you had all the CBD salves and the tea, now you're going to have CBG and it's going to
Delta A.
Right.
There's so
gonna
many variants.
consistently grow. Yes. So don't think that this is just it, right?
I mean, it's limited, and soon, I mean, it's unlimited, but soon states are going to have to come up with equity programs for psychedelics. Just keep that,
Psilocybin,
like, I'm
yeah.
just trying to tell y'all,
They're coming.
psilocybin
Yeah.
is already being decriminalized in Ann Arbor, but that,
And Oregon, too.
so yeah, keep those
Oregon.
things in mind. I always try to think 10, 20 steps ahead, but keep working on your cannabis stuff, but keep the psilocybin stuff at the top of your
your options
mind,
open.
because there's so many products. Oh no, don't be scared of it. Don't be scared of it. Hey, I'm helping to head up the Women's Psychedelic Conference in Detroit in May, so I'm clearly a super advocate of psychedelics. But I will say that that is one thing, again, that they're already starting to monopolize, because they're putting that on the stock market now. So one company, the guy who owns PayPal, he has another company, then he was trying to patent holding hands on a couch while in therapy with psychedelics. Like, they're already doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's so many things that we miss because we don't read shit. We stay just trying to scroll up videos,
Watch
pictures, read some
Right.
shit.
Right.
We miss it all the time. So.
Great point. No, that was good. Virgil, a couple things. Talk about where you think this is going to go, and then what's next. The industry overall, if you will, especially from your perspective.
Well, the industry is going to keep, jurisdictions are going to legalize it across the country and eventually on the national. So with states legalizing it before the federal government is legalized, allow each state to create their laws in their own silos. So you're not going to get an Anheuser-Busch right away.
Nope.
Because
Hopefully
each
never.
state, so once it becomes federally legal, the states, states are sovereign to themselves. So each state, you're not going to be able to just come in and basically, like an Anheuser-Busch, and buy up, facilities state by state by state, because each group will be able to get on the ground and be able to grow. So that's where it's going. So each state is becoming its own hybrid. My main focus is getting our municipalities to opt in. Our African American controlled municipalities in this state directly to opt in, because that is the first step.
Right.
Until they opt in.
Right.
And Ferndale, Hazel Park, Walt Lake, I don't live there.
Right.
So
And
they're opting in.
Right.
Warren, they're getting their act
They're
together.
there together. And Ann Arbor's been there.
Ann Arbor's
They were the top.
They're like
Right.
They're like our closest, yeah.
Right, absolutely. Ann Arbor, right. Right.
So, Lansing is,
Yes,
leaps
Lansing.
and bounds.
That's right.
As well as East Lansing, because, that's what we did.
Right.
So, but yeah, so, I hate to say this, but Caucasian controlled municipalities, they're opting in. While our people are saying, well, why don't you take it to their neighborhood? Why don't you take it to your, or something like that? Well, they are.
It's there. Right. It's there. Right.
So, that's my main focus. And then just, like you say, it's the plant from God. My own personal story, I haven't had a drink in over close to 6 years. And, it's like night and day between alcohol and marijuana. So, and I got a personal story there, so.
Night and 2 days
Right.
difference.
That's right. Night and 2 days. That's right. Right. Yeah.
I'm like Chef Nikki. I smoked the blunt before we started. What was the question?
Where is this? Where do you think the industry is going overall? And then specifically for you?
Overall, of course, I see it going in a very good direction, especially for our people. Like, I'm dedicated to seeing this thing generationally work for our people. Like Tucky said, I want to see this thing hit 5 generations from when I'm not even here no more. You get what I'm saying? So I definitely seen it going in that direction. That's why I'm making sure while I'm here in the present body that God provided me with, that I'm educating, I'm spreading the word. You're already rich. You already got it, right? So what I really push is that money grow on trees. I've been a grower of 9 years, and I got in this seat because I grew my money on trees. It's that simple. And you don't have to be a grower. Get on a team. We need a team, if nothing else. You get what I'm saying? I learned the value of partnership and not wanting to be the person that's always in charge and running things. I need a lawyer on my team. I need 3 other growers that just are, that can, you know, have a different perspective and opinion. Then I don't want to be the person, this is like this and I'm always right. Let's come up with, you know what I'm saying, some great opinions, right? Some great teamwork, some great valuable people who can make the big project move to a worldwide scale, not just a state scale.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I'm going worldwide with mine, you get what I'm saying, and ours, and we already got it. We just got to learn how to manage it and manage it for everyone, just not individuals trying to, you know, like I said, we already rich, but you know, some people, I just want to get rich. Them go be the people kind of separate themselves. It's deeper than that. You got to put a lot of work in, and you got to have a team, and you got to value your team. You got to know how to vet your team. You got to know how to work with the right people. You got to know how to not get played in some of these contracts. So do your homework, but stay motivated and know that your money can grow on trees. It's that simple.
Literally, yeah. Demisa.
I ain't even smoke, but I need you to repeat the question again. She's so cool, she got me all in. Go ahead.
You in. Your thoughts about the industry overall, where it's going, and then specifically where you're going.
Same thing. I see the growth in the industry from when I first started, and then just being a student of the game, sitting back, watching, reading the periodicals. Every time I would go to California, I pick up the papers and see where they at, what's going on. I get on Google, see what's going on in Oakland, because I knew we parallel Oakland in the people, the way we move, the laws and everything else. So I was constantly be a life learner in this game. And if you think you know everything, you don't. You don't. And I'm not saying that because I do. I'm just saying practice your trade and constantly. We just got to get out there and do it. And if we stick together, like Brother Ross said, and stand on our own, and stop always looking for other people to come in and save us. We did it before, we could do it again. That's my only thing about the whole thing. We really got to stick together, because if we don't, some of the other cultures that were spoken about before, I've been in partnerships with them, currently in partnership with them. And not because I don't believe in my people or I don't love my people, you know what I mean? I'm like this, if anybody know this book, The Spook Who Sat by the Door by Sam Greenlee.
Come on.
I read that before I became a police officer, just to give you some insight into my intellect, so you'll know that I'm not one of those, but I'm really for the people. But I'm also an opportunist, and I'm a good businessman. So because of my personality, my background, my experience, I've sat with the Chinese people. Just came from Oklahoma, doing it big. Same way we could do it. We could go down there and take over. With this, if I had this panel on the team right now, and we went down there to Oklahoma, kill the game. Give you one more thing. I'm in Oklahoma and I'm gonna leave. I know we going over.
No, you're good. Because after he finishes, we have some Q&A. I know you all might have some questions.
So I'm in Oklahoma, trying to find the black stations, because it ain't seemed like it was a lot of us down there. Right. So I'm trying to find the black stations, I'm riding. Come to House of Dank, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all y'all from Detroit know House of Dank damn near on every corner like a liquor store now.
Yes, sir.
I'm like, damn, they beat us to Oklahoma already?
Yes.
So that's what I mean, what we all touched on, pooling our resources, staying together. If they could do it, we could do it. And I'm gonna leave it like that.
No, that's great. Questions? Anyone have any questions? I don't think you'll ever see an illustrious group like this all together at one time.
Yes, you will, because we're going to keep this going.
Well, outside of that, for you to ask questions so you can get ready.
We got to keep it going.
You got some questions. Anyone have any questions? Now, don't wait till this is over and then you say, oh, I should have asked.
Y'all supposed to be
because that's what
notes.
y'all do. Question, please.
I'm kind of like, I'm not only a legacy Detroiter, I feel, but I'm a native
I'm going to give you a link. Please, Representative, you speak, and I'm going to give us the link to go to as a reference, but please.
We didn't touch on that. That's another part of the industry that, you know, it's called, they call it in the industry green space. Zoned areas that are allowable for marijuana type of activity. And other individuals or other cultures have bought up a lot of that land. Because you can look at a zoning map and you can see exactly where those those lots will be essentially. So the city, what the city of Detroit is doing, the city owns a number of already zoned lots or properties, and they're selling those to legacy Detroiters at a discounted rate. So that's what the city of Detroit is doing directly.
Can I ask a question on that? So with them selling them, what are they basing the rate on? Because I know in California, if you tell a landlord you cannabis, they up it by like, it's 4 times the amount of normal.
Yes.
So that's what so they're basing that
below market rate.
So they are. Oh, that's what I was wondering. Okay, so they're selling below market at the discount. So I guess that's cool. That's
Two
cool.
legacy Detroiters, if you want to qualify as a legacy Detroiter.
Okay, because I'm sure, like, man, if it's based like Cali.
There's a website, Detroit Homegrown. Detroit means business / homegrown.
I'm sorry, DetroitMeansBusiness.org
/ homegrown. Yes, I don't have it in front of me.
Right, it's a word. That's why I was bringing it up. I knew you were going to reference it. Yes.
So go to that website. It will give you the rundown, and it will show you the properties that are available the city has.
I mean, I have the list.
Okay.
But the prices, like for one building is like $30,000, another one is $41,000. And like I say, not only am I a legacy Detroiter that I feel, I'm also a native Detroiter who drive past these buildings on a daily. And they've just been sitting there. I'm 46 years old. My daughter's 25. The last time I partied in a party, like literally party, in those buildings, it was before she was born. 21, 22 in there, and after that, it was no more.
I mean, unfortunately, business is business. So if somebody buys that property, somebody buys it.
Yeah.
And so,
You're saying that's the ticket on it.
I mean, those prices are, there's a property in Inkster selling for $1 million right now in the marijuana space.
Okay.
So, that's where it's going.
Okay, so that's what you're saying.
I mean, the price is the price.
Right. But remember, and that's part of the business model and the structure, right? So you built that in. So if this is the price of the building, then there we go. Then you're going to have rehab costs, retrofit, what that looks like. So you might end up at $1 million, and that's okay. Yep, and that's okay.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. Prepare yourself for the financial part of it, because even though the building, might show up as $30,000, the project itself might cost you a couple million. You get what I'm saying? So always be prepared for that. And I think that's what a lot of legacy Detroiters, they didn't understand that part. They just seen the discount part, which is a good thing. Of course, we love the discounts. I'm talking about we love a discount anywhere, right? But be prepared for the millions of dollars that it's going to take to build, the actual business and the business structure. You get what I'm saying? So if you got a line on the property and you feel like you got it, find you an architect and start to talk to him in advance, so you can start to understand what the inside schematics build out and what the whole structure of the project will look like to put together. You get what I'm saying? To make sure that you, the team, or anybody else can afford it, right? Because nobody wants to waste time into a project that you can't really afford, and these are some big tag projects.
I lived in California for 2 years, learned the whole legal cannabis industry from seed to sale to metrics. My opinion from all the research that I did is, why California, when Denver's been so successful with their model? So why, if a city like Atlanta were to go legal, right? Why would you pick California over Colorado as the blueprint for Detroit? Like, what's the differences?
We did use Colorado when we wrote the 2016 law. We basically took Colorado's law. The Medical Marijuana Facility Licensing Act, the MMFLA, is a mirror image of Colorado, their actual structure process. And then that turned into the Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana Act, where the same structure is still there. So the opt-in provisions, everything, we basically mirrored that straight from Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, I was just wondering, you know, like, what the differences that you would see between the two, because, you know, being in California and seeing all the struggles from the jump, right? Then you go look at Colorado, and it's just like, everything just seems so sweet and simple
Well,
there, you
I would
know?
say that Colorado was the base for the structure. Colorado perfected the structure
Yes,
better than any other state.
yes.
And most states, from the seed to sale, our whole seed to sale metric system is based out of Colorado, and the company is still the same company from Colorado is here in Michigan.
Great question. Question?
It's way different in Colorado.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have.
What falls under like that, program or for legacy control? Is it license or is it just the buildings or properties that you were talking about, or what falls under, like when you get a discount or when you get priority over, somebody else, what exactly, falls
Okay,
under?
so there's two. So you have your state and you have your city. So social equity is state. Social equity is just a discount.
Okay.
So if you qualify, if you're a 5-year resident, you can get a 25% discount. That's where it starts at. So here in Detroit, the Legacy Detroiter ordinance is based on carving out a pathway for native Detroiters to be able to get to ownership, and also for them to have to employ it, because we haven't talked about that side either. There are a number of people getting paid a decent penny working in this space, especially professional growers and professional culinary arts people, so processors. So the Legacy Detroiter it has a discount component to it, but it also carves out, like I said, 35 licenses or 37 licenses, 75 divided by 2. It was at 36 and a quarter.
Right.
Those licenses to Legacy Detroiters, 6 of those, and then 36 can come to us, so to speak, as Legacy Detroiters. And then the property side, you have to property. So it's just all about qualifying for each step. I guess is the basic, where it all starts at, because it's multifaceted.
That answers pretty much what I was just trying to figure out exactly, like, what realm you could, try to take, to get into the industry using this, that discount.
Licensing fee of $6,000 to the state of Michigan. So government's got wise and realized they can tax this product. So there's, I think it is, for a store run. So that's where the 25% comes off of. The grow licenses are stackable when I'm talking about. So you can get a 2,000 plant, a Class C 2,000 plant grow license. $40,000 for each one.
Right. Questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Denise?
If I could, though, give you a little bit of history or rundown as I saw it, as I saw the game changing, when the liquor stores to dispensaries, and you see all these dispensaries popping up, maybe 2013, 2014, right? All those weren't legal,
Right.
but they had a plan, they had a strategy, right? So they were able to get up the money, the cash flow, right? So with that cash flow, as they got up maybe from 2013 to 2016, right before the vote came in, then what they did was get together, pool their resources. Okay, cousin Steve, cousin Al, cousin Sam, my store made this, my store made this, my store made this. Let's go get this license together. That's why you got a house of dank on every corner. That's what we're talking about in terms of being united and staying together and pulling our resources. I almost sound like I'm at a fair conference.
That's all right. That's all right.
But when he speak that,
That's right.
yeah,
That's
when he speak that, that's the truth.
Right.
If you guys could, I want you to grab this book. It's called Black Economics. I'm gonna mispronounce his first name. I want to say Jawanza Kunjufu.
You got
right?
it. That's it. That's correct. That's correct.
If you get that, the basics of that book can be applied to the cannabis industry. He just used mom and pop liquor stores, like the old grocery stores we used to have, like 2 generations ago. Like I said, my grandfather's age, before we let them go, and they came in and scooped them right on up. You know what I mean? So what happens is, she Chinese, he's Chaldean, she black. They all in the 4-block radius. The Chinese and the Chaldean, they see her store, the black lady's store, they drive their prices down. They loaf of bread is $1. Her loaf of bread is $1.75. She may have higher costs because the grocery stores or the wholesale distributors not gonna give her the same price they're gonna give the Chinese and the Chaldean. This money in numbers, economics, right?
Right.
So she's struggling to keep her doors open, the black mom and pop.
Right.
So she's struggling. They just sitting back waiting. Next month, she shoot her price to 95 cents. He said, okay, I'm gonna shoot my price to 90. She can't afford, the black company or black business can't afford, mom and pop can't afford to shoot their price down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now, she throw up her hands. Her kids don't want it. She a good mama. She done sent all of them to college. They don't want nothing to do with the store. They want to be doctors and lawyers and everything else, because that's what we trained and programmed to do. So she give it up. Chinese swoop right in and grab it.
Yeah.
Now he got 2 stores. She got 1. But he controlling the market now. He got the market space, right? So now he called Cousin Sam. Cousin Sam, you run this store for me. We about to put the Chinese out of business. I can't remember which one I said, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Right.
We're going to put them out of business.
Yeah.
If we're not careful, the same thing going to happen to us in this cannabis space, if it's not already happening now. So
What you just described is a long-term play. They, you know, that's what this cannabis space, what people got to realize, is nothing that's going to happen overnight. This is going to be the ramifications of it until I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? But what you just described with that whole, that's a long-term play. They literally played on the fact that we was going to get done wrong so they could swoop in, and that's the same stuff that they're trying to do now. Like, it's the, like. Yep. Educate yourself.
Any more questions? We got a couple online, if there are any more in this building. No? Okay, so we got a couple online, and here's a question. Are there apprenticeship programs for those who want to become growers as a way to enter into the industry?
There are.
Whole time I ain't even have my mic on, right? Okay. So this is something I've taught a lot of growers over time, and I consult and I teach. But of course, people want to come learn in your space. You get what I'm saying? So I'm still figuring that out. You get what I'm saying? Because as growers, you know, we ain't about to just be trusting everybody walking through our space for safety reasons and just for cleanliness. You get what I'm saying? People don't respect that you want to keep your grow room as clean as possible. You don't want no outside germs, no outside people just in there playing around trying to figure it out. Right. So we still working on a space where we can find like a community space to kind of grow in and teach in, but also we have to respect the laws. Everybody has to be a caregiver. You get what I'm saying? You don't have to be a caregiver now. You can grow the 12 plants now. You get what I'm saying? Everybody got the right to grow the 12 plants. So just having the space and just having just a little bit of start with me. You get what I'm saying? I don't care if you just got a 1 grow light. Just start with me. Because a lot of people just come to me, like you said, you know, they want you to figure it out and have the whole plan lined up. And that's what I do. I consult. You get what I'm saying? But at least have a little bit of idea and just a little bit of finances. I don't care if it's just a couple $100. We can start with the cheapest LED grow light just to get the concept going of what it takes to grow. You get what I'm saying? So anything is possible. Just have just a couple dollars. I don't care if it's just a small budget just to start with.
I don't know where that person was from, but if they're in the Bay Area, Oaksterdam, the school I went to, they do that. So they have like it's not like an apprenticeship program, but they teach you about growing, selling, metrics, whatever.
Okay. And if you're in this area, you can go to Sam, yourhigherlearning.com, so you can go there as well. Here's another question. I know getting a dispensary can be a lot of money. If I get my license, would it be possible to sell cannabis via e-commerce with features like on-demand delivery. I could ship direct to customers.
You can deliver within your jurisdiction here in the state of Michigan.
Right.
Okay.
You can deliver within your jurisdiction here in the state of Michigan. You cannot transfer state to state.
Nope.
That is federally
Right.
illegal,
Yep.
and you can be charged
Yep.
for transporting drugs.
Yes, absolutely. You will be charged. You're caught. Right.
If it's hemp,
Right.
you can do hemp.
Cannot ship.
Or CBD, but no.
And then there are a couple questions about licensing and zoning. And please, everyone, go to, for Detroit specific, again, it's detroitmeansbusiness.org/homegrown. Okay, that's for fees again. Here's one. From the Netherlands, Amsterdam to Michigan, as a resident, can I start my own business in the weed? In the weed.
I mean, yes. I mean, we have 3 different laws that govern this. You could be a caregiver. You could grow in your house. You can grow commercially. It is completely legal. We are open for business in the state of Michigan.
Yep, I need to bring a blunt some more out here.
Nice, absolutely.
I'm serious as a heart attack.
We're serious to have you. How's that? I think that is the other questions. Okay, here's one. Chef. As a chef looking to open a cannabis cafe once the market opens in Atlanta, Chef Nikki, what's the first step?
Oh, Lord. No, sorry, I'm
First of
sorry.
all, you're in Atlanta. First of all, you're in Atlanta.
Right.
So there's no laws in Georgia. There's no.
That's
You pretty much have to be a paraplegic to have a medical card.
That's
I'm
right.
serious. In
Yep.
Georgia, it's pretty
Look
pretty
up Doc
bad.
Hodge.
Look up what?
Doc Hodge, he can help with some of that.
Right. Right. Exactly. But I'll give you the example from what I have been working on in the state of Michigan.
Okay.
So there are no cannabis restaurants or cafes in the country that you actually can go get a meal from and it's infused. That's legal. Okay? Be clear. A lot of people think that, like in LA, like the cannabis cafe and like the restaurants there, all you can do is just smoke in them.
Right.
So in order for these things to happen, because I'm going through the process now of the FDA, so you got to go Food and Drug, you got to go Pharmacy Board, you have to go all of the license through like the county health departments, like that's all another thing. This is all for me to just try to infuse meals as an option up to 10 milligrams. Wow. Like, so it's very nominal. It's very like, you know, kind of one of those like, oh my God, I ate an infused meal at a restaurant. So it's kind of like a thing.
Right.
But this is the process that like I've been going through just to try to even get it considered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're a long way from that.
Okay.
A very long way. Especially if you're in Georgia, you're even further
Right.
away. But, you know, I say you can do, of course you can do what you want to do quietly. I always tell chefs that are in this space that, you know, small dinner parties is like practice for the big day.
Absolutely. And shout out, there's some amazing chefs in this market as well for doing it.
sure,
Lucky
for sure.
Pistol and Luke Chai and question.
I'm sorry, I kind of want to piggyback off of Chef Nikki.
Okay.
'Cause I'm here in Michigan. Sorry, I'm trying to actually get the question right. So you said there's no legal cafe or dining, but what if it goes to like I know we talked a lot about growing. I think a lot of people are talking about growing. But for those that do want to open cannabis-based businesses and things of that nature, if it wasn't sitting in, if it was like more so just sales, would it only be possible for a dispensary? Like if I wanted to sell things in that nature, or if I wanted to sell infused meals?
Like, so if you wanted to sell like pastries, for example.
For sure.
Okay. If you wanted to sell pastries, for example, the answer is no, still, right now. In the sense because if you were selling them in a dispensary, then yes, but understand that for foods that are made and prepared on site, and foods that are like, you know, a process, you already have to get your license just to serve food.
Yeah.
And so when you take that entity and you add what is a controlled substance to it, you now have to intersect with the Pharmacy Board and the FDA, and like, it's a lot. It's just basically dealing with the entire government separately from just a dispensary. So, because there's no, it's like the hyper gray area like charcoal gray. Like, I'm able to do it to a point where, like, I'm skimming the law, if you understand what I'm saying. And I have to keep it at a certain amount of people in order for me, like, per event, or even if you had, like, a little pop-up in order, like, if I went to 1,000, then I got some problems. I got some big problems. But if I keep it to the point where I don't have to actually apply for event licenses, like event licenses with like high times and stuff like that, you can continue to do one of those temporarily for a day at $1,000 each time. You may make your money back, but it's not as pointless. But to say that it's so hard for it to be legal right now, because the pharmacy board doesn't even want to touch it, to be real with you. And then here's another example. I'm one of the only chefs on the Weed Maps platform that does like recipes and things like that. Weed Maps wants me to take a food truck all around the country. In each state, we pop the food truck up. I do cooking demos, I do live food experiences, and people get to eat. But we're in trouble if there's sales, samples. There's so many ways to like code it. It just gets real hairy, and a lot of times I'm not backing down from it, but a lot of times I'll be like, just federally legalize this shit so I could just attack it, it a different way.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten in trouble for quote unquote interstate commerce because they think that I'm moving things from state to state, but I'm actually acquiring them each time I go to the state.
Right.
So. Sorry for that long-winded thing, but it gets real tricky.
No.
I'm telling you, it's just not for the faint. You gotta just keep pushing through. Cause
That was another question I want to ask, because I feel like a lot of questions that were asked are more so based on like growing or becoming a grower. So when we were talking about the red zones and I know they got in downtown, the green zone where you said it's like, good to know to grow, you get your license and things like that, but it's like a commercial grow. So I was nervous because I was wondering how that would apply to like people that wanted to open weed-based businesses that weren't dispensaries, which is okay.
Well,
but that's
have him piggyback.
We have something in the state of Michigan called designated consumption lounges. And you can't sell food there as far as food infused, but you can give it away. And you can charge interest fee.
Okay. So I think
Entrance fee.
Entrance fee. I thought you said interest.
Is it? Everyone, I'm sorry. Our time is up. We got 1 minute. We so appreciate this amazing audience. How do we stay in contact with you? Let's give our contact information. Demiso, just call your name.
So just call me if you want to get in touch
Just call
with
him,
me.
right? Just call him.
No Instagram,
No Instagram. Okay.
Yeah, I'll move like that. I'm sorry.
Okay. No worries.
No, I can always
See,
get a hold
right.
of Demiso. We're actually building a secure transporter license, so this is my guy. So you can get in touch with me, 313_Side here on Instagram. Check us out on DetroitLifeLounge.com. Facebook, Sahir Al Salam, and you can always contact me at SahirAlSalam@gmail. Feel free to reach out to me and build if you got any ideas. If you community spaces, community programs, we can always hold them in my event space. It's 420 friendly, so keep building and stay motivated, guys. Oh, I'm sorry. SAHIR. That's how you spell my first name. SAHIR _ or 313_ Sahir SAHIR.
Virgil?
Call me 313-424-0813. I do have a Facebook page. I don't know. It's like Virgil K. Smith.
That's good. The numbers.
Give me your Black China page.
Right.
Hey. I got one of those too. Wait a minute.
What'd you say?
Right.
College club too.
Right.
I don't know. I've been through a lot of drama, so I'm just really
That's okay. The number's
coming
good.
out of my shell.
We're good. Chef Nikki.
All right, don't call me.
Okay.
I'm in the kitchen, so like I don't be on my phone like that. But feel free to email me. It's info at Chef Nikki Steward with a D, STEWARD as in David.com. So that's like, I am on Instagram. I'm not really like, I barely respond to DMs. I kind of do sort of, depending, but I'm not very good with like being timely. But I do check my emails because that's where my money is.
Nice. Thank you.
It's info@chefnikkistewart.com.
Okay. Ticket?
So I'm young and old, so I'm on all the social medias. Tucky Blunt A0 on Instagram and Clubhouse. Blunt Tucky on Twitter. Alfonso Tucky Blunt on LinkedIn. Don't find me on Facebook because I'm not adding you. That's just for family, no offense. Email is Tucky, TUCKY, @bluntsandmore.com. And Blunts is with an S, and it's spelled out, and More has 2 O's. So bluntsandmore.com. And yeah, I'm the same way. Like if you inbox me, I'll look at it. If it's stupid, I'll reply something stupid. If it's normal, I'll reply something normal. I reply to all my emails. I try to give as much game as I can with respect to my time. So.
We appreciate all of you. We appreciate the Weed Bar. We want to conclude with this quote. It's from our own, the Coleman Alexander Young. We need to dream big dreams. Propose grandiose means if we are to recapture the excitement, the vibrancy, and the pride that we once had. So we appreciate your time, all of you who are here today. Those of you who tuned in, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you the next time.
I ain't got no food. Hey. I got weed, but I need some food. Oh, a little carrot cake? Yeah, I love her.
Oh, yeah.